Greetings, bloodbags, and welcome to Tusap's terrifying takeover of the spookiest month of the year. Vamptober is dead and gone, but it has risen from its grave with an insatiable thirst for blood and a month of vampire stories. So grab your garlic and your crucifixes and prepare yourself for Vamptober.
Hello, all of my bloodthirsty paranormal freaks out there. It is I, Golden J, hanging out with
the Rocker Chic
and
J-Dub.
And welcome back to Vamptober.
Wow.
We hope you're enjoying Vamptober up to this point. I know that we are. October for the United States of Paranormal has, it's only our second October as the United States Paranormal, but man, we've had a lot of fun. Last year we did Dolltober, and it was so much fun to watch Alicia be completely fucking freaked out by dolls. Almost as much fun as watching J-Dub freaked out by aliens.
Ew. Fuck that.
So, yes, we're having a great time doing Vamptober this year. We hope you're enjoying it. You know, you still have the Rocker Chic's vampire story today. Logan's is going to be next week. And then Halloween, we're having our Halloween chiller filler.
Yeah.
You're going to get double dose, or almost triple dose of the United States of Paranormal that week. Because on Saturday will be the other side, and then Halloween will be the chiller filler, and then Wednesday, which will be November 1st, we'll be back to our regular scheduled program with J-Dub, telling us about whatever it is that she's got on the agenda.
Not telling. You have to
We
tune in.
We like to, keep it
Suspenseful. But you know who else is doing October stuff? That would be the Golden 80s. Going over Halloween stuff. They've covered Michael Jackson's Thriller video and the 1982 Tylenol murders in Chicago. Ooh. And they're going to be covering, if they haven't already, well, in podcast world, I'm not sure what's where, so you have to forgive me. But they're going to be covering Ozzy Osbourne. And, of course, we're going to end on one of the most terrifying movies of all time, A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Woo.
Yes. So if you get a chance after you're done listening to the United States Paranormal, jump over and check out the Golden 80s with Golden J and Frankie Vegas. You'll fall in love with Frankie Vegas. He's just a lovable guy.
Just lovable.
He's lovable. Him and his lisp and his what else does he say he has? He has speech impediment. He can't hear. But yeah, go check out the Golden 80s when you're done with today's United States Paranormal. There's about 20 episodes on there. Catch up on some really cool shit. Yeah. If you like the 80s.
Who doesn't like the 80s?
Yeah.
Everybody loves the 80s.
Everybody loves the 80s.
Oh my God, we gotta stop.
Wow.
Sorry, guys.
I'm not sorry.
For those of you who haven't turned off your radio, we're happy you stuck around. We always start with emails. A couple weeks ago, just before the call guys went on hiatus, they had an episode where they talked about all of the shows in the Empire. So they spent their entire episode just talking about all the shows. And as they talked about each show, they emailed each show. So we're going to get to the email from the call guys.
Okay.
All right.
It's entitled, Keep It Spooky. It says, Team Boozers. Does that sound about right? I mean, it's a lot
Sure.
of O's and a lot of S's.
Okay.
You got the.
Sounds like a horse.
Wilbur. Wow. It did too, didn't it? Famous Mr. Ed. Please keep the fleet afloat while we are taking care of our new crew members.
Aw.
One of the new crew members has been born, and I'm not going to say it, but congratulations to one of the Call Guys hosts, and the other one will probably be saying congratulations next
Yeah.
episode. So
Yeah.
if you don't know, both Colton and Gunnar are expecting, and
What a cutie.
what a cutie. Yes, the first baby, the baby girl is out, and she is adorable. It says, Emperor, suck it. Rocker Chick, love you, Mom.
Aww.
J-Dub, please check out Aliens Exist by Blink-182.
Really?
Did you go check it out?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
I gave her a little prelude to that so she could go listen to it so you could talk about it. Nothing? Did you not like it?
No.
Did you not like the song? No?
I mean, it's catchy, but no, I don't like anything aliens.
Oh.
And then what you told me after.
So if you don't know, Aliens Exist is a song that Tom wrote for Blink-182. Tom is obsessed with aliens and actually left Blink-182 for a time to go alien chasing. And he spent some time out just, hunting for aliens. I don't ever know what happened to him, whatever became of it. But because now Blink-182 is back together and they're touring again. I know I went with Colton and Gunnar to go see him in Chicago, and it was fucking great.
He's probably an alien now, though.
You said that, and it could very well be. He could have been abducted and replaced.
Mm-hmm.
He still sounds the same. Did they mimic like that?
They could, probably.
His voice is, when he sings, Tom has a distinct voice when he sings. It's fucking amazing. I just went through a whole Blink thing in the house before you got here. I was like watching all these videos and shit. They got a new song out. I think it's called One More Time. And it basically, they broke up and they were fighting, and they came back together to do the tour because their bass player, Mark, got cancer.
Oh.
And as Tom said, nothing else in the world matters when one of your best friends is now sick. And so they're back together touring. Well, they're going to release a new album, I believe, and this new song is out. And it's kind of that. It honestly is a love letter to each other. It's like, why do we fight? Why do strangers become friends, become strangers again? And so go check it out. Blink's new song is fucking outstanding. And if you're even partially a Blink fan, it will be very emotional to watch it because it's really a great video. So go check it out. It also says keep up the great work. So Call Guys are rooting for us to keep up the good work.
Okay.
Thanks.
Good.
In every email that they sent out, there was a secret PS that they didn't talk about in the show. Okay.
Okay.
And our PS is, let me ask you this. Did you hear that? It's The Winds of Change. Name that movie. I originally went to, your old standby, Toy Soldiers?
Yes.
No,
But
no.
That's not
Small
it.
Soldiers.
Small Soldiers.
Yeah.
But that's not it. That's not what it is.
No, it's not. It's not what it was.
So, what was it again?
Did you hear that? It's the winds of. It's the wind of change.
I don't know.
I did some searching on it because I don't know either.
Oh, you cheated.
I did cheat because I don't know. I believe that is from Monsters Incorporated.
Ah.
And I can't remember specifically where he says it at, but Yeah, I do believe it's from Monsters Inc. And, they'll correct me if I'm wrong. I'm
Right.
sure.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
they
sure
will
I'll get
definitely.
an email. The United States of Paranormal at gmail.com. You can go ahead and... What was that? Was that right?
I think so.
Yeah. So J-Dub's over there Googling it. She's got her phone in her hand. She's going to town. That's what I did. I Googled it. So there you go. There is your letter from the call guys. I did respond with no worries. We know how to keep the boat sailing. You guys go take care of those new crew members and future Chiefs fans. Because Baby Keel is going to want to cheer for a winning team. And you know that the Rocker Chick loves you both. And Colton, suck it. P.S. Monsters Incorporated.
Mike Wazowski.
Nice. The small soldiers thing was there's something in the
There's
trees.
something in the trees.
And
No,
then he
it's
says,
just the wind.
No, it's just the wind.
Yep. Did you ever see Small Soldiers?
Is it scary?
Kinda. A little bit. Toys come to life and fight each other.
I mean, if you think Toy Story was, a little spooky, then yeah,
No.
Small Soldiers might be too. So,
Puppet Master.
yeah, didn't really enjoy Puppet Master that much. I say that, and I'm gonna hear it from a Logan
Oh, yeah,
because
'cause
he
he
is
loves
a
it.
diehard Puppet Master fan. So,
So is my husband.
right on. Well, there you go. He really liked that one, huh?
Yeah.
Her sister bought all of the puppets
Ew.
and had
Yeah,
them
my
in the
sister
house.
loved Puppet Master.
Yeah.
Gross.
So there you go. Hey, if you haven't checked out some of our postings on Facebook lately, go check them out. We have our movie lists are going up as each week comes out as we present. On Thursdays when this come out, we'll have who's ever presenting's favorite movie list. So J-Dubs and mine should be up on there. Rocker Chick should be up as you're listening to this podcast. And also, we're going to put out a Spotify playlist and probably a YouTube playlist of all of our favorite kind of spooky Halloween or whatever, songs that mean something that's a little creepy. You know what I'm saying? My list, let me give you a couple. My list has Trick or Treat by Fastway, which comes from one of my favorite movies, Trick or Treat from '86, I believe, with Mark Price, Gene Simmons, and Ozzy Osbourne in it. J-Dub's got a little Alice Cooper on her list. I can't remember what else was on there.
A Little Piece of Heaven from Avenged Sevenfold.
Yep.
Yeah.
Rocker Chick's gonna have what do you got? Some
I have Vampire by
Olivia Rodriguez. Yeah.
Nice.
And the Scooby-Doo theme song.
And the Scooby-Doo theme song.
That's great.
Yeah. So yeah, go check those out. Those are going to be on our Facebook and our Instagram. So you can go check them out and look at our favorite songs. I do want to mention one of the first ones on mine is a song called Cassie, which is by Flyleaf. And they wrote it about a girl who died in the Columbine shootings. And it's always been kind of that creepy, emotional song for me. I mean, I really like Flyleaf, and I love that first album that they put out. And I think that song resonates a little deeper, knowing that that's what it's about. So, go check it out. Go check it out.
Do it.
Do it. All right, J-Dub. What do you got for me?
Let me ask you this. Riddle me this.
Riddle me this.
Who makes it has no need for it. Whoever buys it won't use it. Who uses it won't care, except vampires.
Oh.
What am I?
That's an easy one. I know that one. Oh, Rocker Chick is thinking hard about this one. So the person who buys it doesn't use it.
Who makes it,
Oh, sorry.
get it right, who makes it has no need for it.
Yep.
Whoever buys it won't use it. Who uses it won't care, except for vampires. What am I?
I don't know.
Don't know?
No.
The brain is on shutdown.
It is.
You
Sorry.
realize that you're helping fuel the time machine DeLorean because people are screaming at the radio right now, going,
'Cause-
"Come on, Rocker Chick, you know this one."
I don't know it.
Can I say it?
Sure.
It's a coffin.
Yeah. Casket, whatever.
Yeah.
Yep.
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 It makes it. Doesn't buys it, uses it. There you go.
Yep.
It's a coffin.
It's a coffin.
Dracula uses it.
Vampires, not just Dracula.
Well, not all vampires use coffins, though, do they? Some hang from.
Cool vampires use coffins.
Some vampires sleep in a bed.
Oh, you're talking about Edward?
No.
Vampires don't sleep.
Well,
If you go by the myth of it all.
well, I mean, no. I mean, the myth of it all, they do. I mean, they do sleep because they have coffins. They sleep during the
No,
day,
they
right?
shut themselves in, but they don't sleep.
Oh, what do they do? It's like they take a Rubik's Cube in there with them or
They,
something like
col-
that?
they color.
They spend all night looking for just the right pages.
Or they or they have I Spies.
Oh shit! That'd be good. Yeah. A little Mad magazine going on in there. Oh wow!
Or they're looking at yearbooks, seeing who they want to go eat next.
Yeah.
Really?
Maybe.
Damn.
They're pondering what they're going to do
I mean, come on. Why
when
not?
darkness comes out.
What would you do if you had to? I mean, okay, let's say in the summertime it's longer daylight, so you're having less nighttime. That's a lot of time just to sit in there and ponder what the fuck you're gonna do when you get up, especially if you don't sleep, right?
And they might not have any sense of time since they've been alive for so long.
True. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't either. It's just something now that I'm gonna have to think about. Huh.
Heh.
Maze.
Well, when you meet a
Maze.
vampire, ask him. Ask her.
Oh, it's gonna be.
There
I'm
we
gonna
go.
meet a female vampire. Is that what you're saying?
I said him or her.
Oh. I'm gonna let that go. Are you ready to get into your story for today?
Yeah.
I think so. I'm actually going to tell you a story.
I'm excited. I haven't heard this story yet.
It's different, but hey,
Hey.
it's a story, and it's called The True Story of a Vampire.
Oh.
Ooh.
All right. The True Story of a Vampire. It takes place in Syria. Vampires generally arrive at night in carriages drawn by two black horses. Our vampire arrived by the means of a railway train and in the afternoon. You must think I am joking, or perhaps that by the word vampire I mean a financial vampire. No, I'm quite serious. The vampire of whom I'm speaking, who laid waste our family and home, was a real vampire. Vampires are generally described as dark, sinister-looking, and slightly handsome. Our vampire, just slightly. Our vampire was, on the contrary, rather fair, and certainly was not at first sight sinister-looking. And though decidedly attractive in appearance, not one would call him handsome. Yes, he desolated our home, killed my brother, the one object of my adoration, also my dear father. Yet at the time, I must say that I myself came under the spell of his fascination.
I got a spell on you.
And in spite of it all, have no ill will towards him.
Now wait a minute.
No.
He killed her brother and her father, and yet she has no ill will?
No ill will towards him.
I'm assuming it's a she. Is it a she?
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
She's under a spell.
Yeah.
That's true. So vampires do that, though, don't they? They have that
Probably.
little...
Maybe.
You're under
They
my
possibly
spell.
could.
Meow. Oh, sorry. That was a car alarm.
So I am old now. What happened then when I was a little girl of about 13? I will begin by describing our household. We were Poles. Our name was Ronsky. We lived in Syria, where we had a castle. Our household was very limited. It consisted, with the exclusion of domestics, of only my father, our governess, a worthy Belgian named Mademoiselle Vernet, my brother, and myself. Let me begin with my father. He was old, and both my brother and I were children of his old age. Of my mother, I remember nothing. She died in giving birth to my brother, who was only 1 year. Our father was studious, continually occupied in reading books, chiefly on recondite subjects and in all kinds of unknown languages. He had a long white beard and wore habitually a black velvet skull cap. How kind he was to us, it was more than I could tell. Still, it was not I who was his favorite. His whole heart went out to Gabriel, her brother. My brother who had a resemblance to the only portrait of my mother, a slight chalk sketch which hung in my father's study. But I was by no means jealous. My brother was and has been the only love of my life. It is for his sake that I am now keeping in Westbourne Park a home for stray cats and dogs.
So she's a crazy cat lady.
And dog lady.
You'll figure it out in a minute.
Okay.
I was at that time, as I said before, a little girl. My name was Carmela. My long tangled hair was always all over the place and never would comb straight.
I know that feeling.
I was not pretty, at least looking at the photograph of me at that time. I do not think I could describe myself as such. Yet at the same time, when I look at the photograph, I think my expression may have been pleasing to some people. Irregular features, large mouth, and large wild eyes. I find it difficult to describe my brother, Gabriel. There was something about him strange and superhuman. He had large, wild, gazelle-like eyes. His hair, like mine, was in a perpetual tangle. That point he had in common with me. And indeed, as I afterwards heard, our mother having been of gypsy race, it will account for much of the innate wildness there was in his nature. I was wild enough, but Gabriel was much wilder. Nothing would induce him to put on shoes and stockings except on Sundays, when he also allowed his hair to be combed, but only by me. How shall I describe the grace of that lovely mouth, shaped virally? I always think of the text in Psalms, grace is shed forth on thy lips, therefore has God blessed thee eternally. Lips that seem to exhale the very breath of life. Then that beautiful, lithe, living, elastic form. Jim was like, what the hell does that mean?
That's a lot of words I don't understand. She's describing his face.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. He could run faster than any deer, like a squirrel to the topmost branch of a tree. He might have stood for the sign and symbol of vitality itself, but seldom could he be induced by Mademoiselle Vernet. I can't say her name. I'm just going to say Mademoiselle.
Okay.
To learn lessons. But when he did so, he learnt with extraordinary quickness. He would play upon every conceivable instrument, holding a violin here, there, and everywhere, except the right place, manufacturing instruments for himself out of reeds, even sticks. Mademoiselle made futile efforts to induce him to learn to play the piano. I suppose he was what was called spoiled, though merely in the superficial sense of the word. Our father allowed him to indulge in every caprice. One of his peculiarities, I can't even say it, but that's close enough, when quite a little child, was horror at the sight of meat. Nothing on earth would induce him to taste it. Another thing which was particularly remarkable about him was his extraordinary power over animals. Everything seemed to come tame to his hand. Birds would sit on his shoulder. Then sometimes Mademoiselle and I would lose him in the woods. He would suddenly dart away. Then we would find him singing softly or whistling to himself, with all manner of woodland creatures around him.
He's Snow White.
Hedgehogs, little foxes, wild rabbits, squirrels, and such. He would frequently bring these things home with him and insist on keeping them. So that's why she does what she does.
She doesn't have the power. She doesn't have the power to bring in squirrels and hedgehogs, or so she just brings in
cats and dogs,
stray dogs.
Yeah. He chose to live in a little room at the top of the turret, but which, instead of going upstairs, he chose to reach by means of a very tall chestnut tree through the window.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, why not?
But in contradiction of all his, it was his custom to serve every Sunday Mass in the parish church, with hair nicely combed and with white surplice and red cassock. He looked as demure and tamed as possible. Then came the element of the divine. What an expression of ecstasy there was in those glorious eyes. So she was deeply in love with her brother. I mean, she...
I was gonna say, she sounds a little obsessed.
Is it? Do you up to this point? Do you feel like it's the sibling love, or do you feel like there was more to it?
No, I think it's just sibling love.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because he is much younger than her, right?
I think a year different.
Yes, I think
Oh.
it
I
wasn't.
think
It wasn't
You said
much because she
of a
didn't
year.
remember her
Okay.
Her mom.
her
yeah.
mom. So she was very young when her mom passed away, and he was only a year old. So, okay. Thus far, I have not been speaking about the vampire. However, let me begin with my narrative at last. One day, my father had to go to the neighboring town, as he frequently had. This time, he returned accompanied by a guest. The gentleman, he said, had missed his train through the late arrival of another at our station, which was a junction, and he would therefore, as trains were not frequent in our parts, have had to wait there all night. He had joined in conversation with my father in the two late arriving trains from the town, and had consequently accepted my father's invitation to stay the night at our house. But of course, you know, in those out-of-the-way parts, we were almost patriarchal in our hospitality. He was announced under the name of Count Vardalak, the name being Hungarian,
Oh, you see where that's going?
but he spoke German well enough, not with the monotonous accentuation of Hungarians, but rather, if anything, with a slight Slovakian intonation. His voice was peculiarly soft and insinuating. We soon afterwards found that he could talk Polish, and Mademoiselle vouched for his good French. So he spoke a lot of languages. Indeed, he seemed to know all languages, but let me give my first impressions. He was rather tall, with fair wavy hair, rather long, which accentuated a certain a certain effeminacy about his smooth face. I need your little...
I know you need my little thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey.
His figure had something, I cannot say what, serpentine about it. The features were refined, and he had long, slender, subtle, magnetic-looking hands, a somewhat long, sinuous nose, a graceful mouth, and an attractive smile, which belied the intense sadness of the expression of his eyes. When he arrived, his eyes were half closed. Indeed, they were habitually.
He's stoned.
So that I could not decide their color. He looked worn and wearied. I could not possibly guess his age. Suddenly, Gabrielle burst into the room. A yellow butterfly was clinging to his hair. He was carrying in his arms a little squirrel. Of course, he was bare-legged as usual. The stranger looked up at his approach, then I noticed his eyes. They were green. They seemed to dilate and grow larger. Gabrielle stood stock still with a startled look, like that of a bird fascinated by a serpent. But nevertheless, he held out his hand to the newcomer, Vardelak. Taking his hand, I don't know why I noticed the trivial thing, pressed the pulse with his forefinger. Suddenly, Gabrielle darted from the room and rushed upstairs. Not using the tree, but used the stairs.
He checked his pulse. Ew.
Going to his turret room, this time by the staircase instead of the tree. I was in terror what the Count might think of him. Great was my relief when he came down in his velvet Sunday suit, in shoes and stockings. I combed his hair and set him generally right. When the stranger came down to dinner, his appearance had somewhat altered. He looked much younger. There was an elasticity in the skin, combined with a delicate complexion, rarely to be found in a man. Before he had struck me as being very pale. Well, at dinner we all charmed with him, especially my father. He seemed to be thoroughly acquainted with all my father's particular hobbies. Once when my father was relating some of his military experiences, he said something about a drummer boy who was wounded in battle. His eyes opened completely again and dilated, this time with a particularly disagreeable expression, dull and dead, yet at the same time animated by some horrible excitement. But this was only momentarily. The chief subject of his conversation with my father was about certain curious mystical books which my father had just lately picked up, in which he could not make out, but Vardelak seemed completely to understand. At dessert time, my father asked him if he were in a great hurry to reach his destination. If not, would he not stay with us a little while? Though our place was out of the way, he would find much that would interest him in the library. He answered, I am in no hurry. I have no particular reason for going to that place at all. And if I can be of service to you in deciphering these books, I shall be only too glad. He added with a smile, which was bitter, very, very bitter. You see, I am a cosmopolitan, a wanderer on the face of the earth. After dinner, my father asked him if he played the piano. He said, yes, I can a little, and he sat down at the piano. Then he played a Hungarian song, wild, rhapsodic, wonderful. That is the music which makes men mad, he went on in the same strain. Gabriel stood stock still by the piano, his eyes dilated and fixed, his form quivering. At last he said very slowly at one particular motive, for want of a better word, you may call it the relach of a Cassardus, by which I mean that point where the original quasi-slow movement begins again. Yes, I think I could play that. Then he quickly fetched his fiddle and self-made xylophone and did. Actually, alternating the instruments rendered the same very well indeed. Vanderlak looked at him and said in a very sad voice, poor child, you have the soul of music within you. I could not understand why he should seem to commiserate instead of congratulate Gabrielle on what certainly showed an extraordinary talent. Gabrielle was shy, even as the wild animals who were tame to him. Never before had he taken to a stranger. Indeed, as a rule, if any stranger came to the house by any chance, he would hide himself. And I had to bring him up his food to the turret chamber. Yeah, you may also imagine what my surprise when I saw him walking about hand in hand with Vardelak the next morning, in the garden, talking lively with him and showing him his collection of pet animals, which he had gathered from the woods and for which he had to fit up a regular zoological garden. Mm-hmm. He seemed utterly under the domination of Vardelak. What surprised us was, for otherwise we liked the stranger, especially for being kind to him. That he seemed, though not noticeably at first, except perhaps to me, who noticed everything with regard to him, to be gradually losing his general health and vitality. He did not become pale as yet, but there was a certain languor about his movements, which certainly there was by no means before. And she's talking about her brother.
Right.
My father got more and more devoted to Count Vardelak. He helped him in his studies, and my father would hardly allow him to go away, which he did sometimes. To Trieste, he said he always came back bringing us presents of strange oriental jewelry or textures. I knew all kinds of people came to Trieste, Orientals included. Still, there was a strangeness and magnificence about these things which I was sure even then could not possibly have come from such a place as Trieste. Memorable to me chiefly for its necktie shops. So she's questioning that this stuff actually came from the place he said he went.
Right.
When the Count was away, Gabriel was continually asking for him and talking about him. Then at the same time, he seemed to regain his own old vitality and spirits. The Count always returned looking much older, wan and weary. Gabriel would rush to meet him and kiss him on the mouth. Then he gave a slight shiver, and after a little while began to look quite young again. Things continued like this for some time. My father would not hear of the Count going away permanently. He came to be an inmate of our house. I, indeed, and Mademoiselle also, could not help noticing what a difference there was altogether about Gabriel. But my father seemed totally blind to it. One night I had gone downstairs to fetch something, which I had left in the drawing room. As I was going up again, I passed the Count's room. He was playing on his piano, which had been specifically put there for him. Very beautifully, I stopped, leaning on the banister to listen. Something white appeared on the dark staircase. We believed in ghosts in our part. I was transfixed with terror and clung to the balusters. What was my astonishment to see Gabriel walking slowly down the staircase, his eyes fixed as though in a trance. This terrified me even more than a ghost would. Could I believe my senses? Could that be Gabriel? I simply could not move. Gabriel, clad in his long white nightshirt, came downstairs and opened the door. He left it open. The Count still continued playing, but talked as he played. He said this time, speaking in Polish, which I don't know what it says in Polish, "My darling, I fain would spare thee, but thy life is my life, and I must live. I who would rather die, will God not have mercy on me? Oh, life, oh, the torture of life." Here he struck one agonized and strange chord, then continued playing softly. "Oh, Gabriel, my beloved, my life, yes, life, oh, why life? I am sure this is but a little that I demand of thee. Sorely thy superabundance of life can spare little to one who is already dead. No, stay," he said now, almost harshly. "What must be, must be." Gabriel stood there quite still, with the same fixed, vacant expression in the room. He was evidently walking in his sleep. The Count played on, then said, "Ah, what a sign of terrible agony." Then very gently, "Go now, Gabriel. It is enough." And Gabriel went on out of the room and ascended the staircase at the same slow pace, with the same unconscious stare. The Count struck the piano, and although he did not play loudly, it seemed as though the strings would break. You never heard music so strange and so heartrending. I only know I was found by Mademoiselle in the morning in an unconscious state at the foot of the stairs. Was it a dream after all? I am sure now that it was not. I thought that it might be and said nothing to anyone about it. Indeed, what could I say? Well, let me cut a long story short. Gabriel, who had never known a moment's sickness in his life, grew ill, and we had to send for a doctor who could give no explanation of Gabriel's strange illness. Gradually wasting away, he said, absolutely no organic complaint. What could this mean? My father at last became conscious of the fact that Gabriel was ill. His anxiety was fearful. The last trace of gray faded from his hair, and it became quite white. We sent to Vienna for doctors, but all with the same result. Gabriel was generally unconscious, and when conscious, only seemed to recognize the Count, who sat continually by his bedside, nursing him with the utmost tenderness. One day I was alone in the room, and the Count cried suddenly, almost fiercely, "Send for a priest at once." He repeated, "It is now almost too late." Gabriel stretched out his arms spasmodically and put them around the Count's neck. This was the only movement he had made for some time. The Count bent down and kissed him on the lips. I rushed downstairs, and the priest was sent for. When I came back, the Count was not there. The priest administered extreme unction. I think Gabriel was already dead, although we did not think so at the time. The Count had utterly disappeared, and when we looked for him, he was nowhere to be found, nor have I seen or heard of him since. My father died very soon afterwards, suddenly aged and bent down with grief. And so for the whole of the Ronsky property came into my sole possession, and here I am, an old woman, generally laughed at for keeping in memory of Gabriel an asylum for stray animals, and people do not, as a rule, believe in vampires. And that's the story.
So he sucked the life out of the kid. Like slowly.
Mm-hmm.
So he was, yeah. Ew.
What do you think?
Golden J, you all right? Is somebody sucking the life out of you? Just by a story?
Why, no. There is no sucking going on here at all. Wow.
That makes you think.
So, you had me through the whole thing. Mm-hmm. You had me through the whole story.
Good.
But, man, my mind was going 20 different ways.
Yeah.
There was no actual bloodlust. There was no biting and taking the life. That's where I thought was originally where we started with the story, with a vampire and killing her brother and her dad. Then I thought maybe we were going to go with the fact that she was a vampire and that she was collecting these animals to feed on. And then I thought, well, maybe the brother is still roaming around out there as a vampire. And so I was all over the place in this story. I'm not going to lie.
What? What? Go ahead.
No, you're up.
Oh, were you done?
I think so.
Oh, I was just still processing.
Yeah, I am too.
It's like, when at first I was like, okay, this kid is Gabriel. He had powers over animals. He had, he was a good looking kid. He could play instruments. I thought maybe the Count was his actual dad.
And that's kind of maybe what I thought behind there too.
Yeah.
They both didn't know their mother. I mean, you don't know. I don't. She doesn't know. Her
Right.
father died, but yeah, I just thought it was a very interesting story, and as far as I know, it is true and written by the girl as an adult. And
Wow.
So who wrote it?
Well,
we gotta definitely give props where props are due at this point.
So this says Eric Stenbach is the one that actually put it in a book.
Okay.
But what did I say her name was? I think it only mentioned it one time in here.
It's like in the beginning, I believe.
Yeah, I don't even know that did she mention what her dad's name was?
No, she did not.
But we know
Carmela.
Carm-
Carmela
yep.
was her name.
We know her brother's name.
And this, it's called The True Story of a Vampire. So, and I just thought, reading it, I kind of really liked it and thought it was a good story. So
It was a good story.
Yeah. And it's like, everybody has different stories on vampires. Some say they suck blood and some people say that they suck life. So I 100% could see that as he's taking the life to sustain a young life to sustain his. But I still think that was his son.
yeah,
Kissing him on the lips and stuff. Yeah, that's his kid.
I especially love the part where he was playing the piano and talking to him.
Yeah.
And telling him how very sorry he is that this is how it has to be. And, so.
I wouldn't think a vampire would be like, feel remorse over sucking somebody's life out of them.
I actually think that
Unless it was their kid.
I actually think that the Count was ready. He wanted to die, but he can't die. You know what I mean? I think that played a lot into it. So.
Oh, that's another. Do you see the smoke coming out of Golden Jay's ears?
It's true.
Because what did it say? Because it did say.
No, actually, I was thinking through that whole thing. It's like, man, I need to get her hooked up to start like doing audiobooks and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, have a coughing fit
with her sexy call lady voice.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So it says, "Oh, Gabrielle, my beloved, my life, yes, life. Oh, why life? I am sure this is but a little that I demand of thee. So sorely thy superabundance of life can spare little to one who is already dead. No stay," he said now almost harshly. "What must be, must be." So I honestly think that, he knows he's dead and he wishes that he didn't have to do that to him because there was a connection there between him and the boy.
Right. Yeah, he actually truly cared for the boy. Mm-hmm. But, when it had already started when he came running into the house and he held his hand. I mean, that process had already started and it was no stopping it at that point.
Right.
Huh. Well.
I know. We're both like... I'm I can't even talk. I'm still processing this.
We want to know what you think. The United States of Paranormal at gmail.com. What did you think of that? What's your interpretation of that story?
That was good.
Thank you.
I like that one.
Thank you. Yeah. I had a really hard time trying to find a vampire to do a story on. And Jeremy had given me some ideas, but it's just like the more and more I looked, it's like this is...
And that was different.
Yeah, absolutely.
I liked it.
It's for Vamptober.
It's for Vamptober. And he was a count.
He was. And they were in Hungary. Or
They
he
were
was
in
from
Syria,
Hungary.
yeah.
He was from Hungary.
They were in Syria, but I think that's all general in that area.
Yeah,
we might need to get a map out here.
Oh, shit.
So we know what the hell we're talking about.
Most of the time we stay within the United States, so this is just a special month. So to stamp that passport and head off to Hungary or Syria is perfectly fine. I mean, we did go drinking in New Orleans a couple weeks ago. So.
True. Yes.
We were going drinking. Yeah, I'm gonna have to spend the rest of my evening contemplating all of that story. It was really, really good. It was good. You told it very, very well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't change much. I just changed some words that I couldn't say. So.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay.
Be all
That's
good.
okay.
But it was a story by Eric. What was it?
Stenbach.
And he's the one that put it into print.
Correct.
And Carmela was the original penned author on that story.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
That came from, I mean, these
Could
are
it have
her
been
words.
like her writing like a letter or a memoir or something, and he got his hands on it somehow?
Could be. Did we have a year on that? Was there a year in any of that stuff?
I didn't print
Okay.
anything out like that, but
Well, you remember in last week's story about the Bethany, the Countess, I did talk about a lot of the letters and stuff that they found later on, which, kind of exposed her. So maybe that's something that falls into that line. If it was an older story like that, maybe she just pinned it and had it in a box or something to come up with.
And if you think about it, way back then, they didn't have any type of medicine for illnesses. So he could have been going around to all these towns and
sucking the life out of
cities and
Yeah.
whatever, and sucking the lives out of children. And they're just like, oh, I don't know. He had an illness.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, exactly. Huh. Just go from town to town. But he was there for quite a long time, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Why was the dad so obsessed with him, though?
Because they enjoyed the same things. I mean, he didn't have, beside the mademoiselle that took care of the kids, he
Right.
really didn't have any other adults to
And that
Chat with.
chat
that
with.
probably was how the Count got his foot in the door. Was, oh, you like this? Oh, so do I.
Yeah.
We got a lot in common. We'll be best friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm going to think about that one for a while. That's really, really good. Okay. Well, hey, listeners, thank you for taking the time and jumping on here and listen to the United States of Paranormal. Don't forget, it is Vamptober. We have some great merchandise on the website, theunitedstatesofparanormal.com. And it is limited edition for Vamptober. So October 31st, it is going away. So get out there, check it out. Order something. Help us out. We would greatly appreciate it. We do have some beanies and posters, some wine glasses and T-shirts, and of course, a fleece zip-up hoodie. And that thing is badass.
Keep you warm
Yeah.
because it's going to start getting
It's
cold.
going to start getting cold, and you're going to need to stay warm. Watch out for the Wendigo.
Shh.
Don't say it.
Don't say it. Well, remember, to always wear your United States Paranormal Vamptober fleece hoodie when you get abducted by aliens.
Hey, now. But if you get something, as you should, you need to post it and let us see it.
Absolutely. So, yeah, go check it out, and then buy something, and then send us a picture.
Either drinking out of the cup or wearing it. Or,
Yeah.
Preferably not blood, though. I mean, whatever floats your boat. But
Bloody Marys. That'll work.
ooh,
See? You can't have a little blood in your drink. Hey, and don't forget, I'm still looking for, audio clips of your spooky story. I know we haven't really talked about it here in the last couple weeks, but we're still looking for some. And we would love to have them so we can do an episode just on our listeners' actual stories. So grab your iPhone, grab your Galaxy, record it. It doesn't have to be amazingly professional or anything. Just record it and email it to the United States of Paranormal at gmail.com.
Please.
And,
do it.
I'm going to have the girls listen, and we're going to talk about each story. And, yeah, I still need a few more stories. So, come on, guys, help me out here. Send us your personal haunting stories. They don't have to be super long. It'll be okay. Don't be shy. Don't be anxious. It'll be amazing. It'll be fun.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anything else, girls?
Don't think so.
I don't think so either.
No? All right. Well, let's get on out of here. Thank you for checking us out, and keep it spooky. And I'll see you on the other side.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the United States of Paranormal. Check us out at theunitedstatesofparanormal.com. or at any other of our social media pages. At Twitter, at TOSOPPOD, at Instagram, at the United States of Paranormal, or Facebook, at the United States of Paranormal, or YouTube, at the United States of Paranormal 1795.
Please check out our other podcasts in the Golden Mojo Entertainment Network. The Call Guys, Golden Image Podcast, Indiana Chiefs Fans, The Golden 80s, Murd Nerds, and A Quart of Books and Booze.
And if you have a location you would like us to check into or a creepy story that you would love to tell us, please email us at theunitedstatesofparanormal@gmail.com. Please like, rate, and subscribe wherever you listen.